When I was really young, my favorite film that I used to love to watch the most was The Mummy. It was freaky and fun and absolutely beautifully done. Boris Karloff was so frightening. I was fascinated. I always thought, when I grow up, I either want to be a makeup artist or I want to be an archaeologist. Funny, right?
Most interesting.
I'm V. Neal, and I am a makeup artist for film and television. I specialize in makeup effects. You may have seen some of the films I've worked on. I've done big franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean and The Hunger Games. I've also won 3 Oscars. My first one was for Beetlejuice. My second one was for Mrs. Doubtfire, and my third one was for the film Ed Wood.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I would imagine that I watched all the Universal Monster movies at least 50 times when I was a kid, and my parents couldn't figure it out ever. I was kind of obsessed with being scared. I liked it. As a young child, I really got firsthand information about being a makeup artist. My friend's father was a makeup man. I would watch him do makeup on us for Halloween, and I always used to say to him, I want to do what you do when I grow up, and it was always like, yeah, sure, kid, because, back then, women were not makeup artists. How am I going to get to work in the movies? They tell you can't do it because you're a girl.
Now, what could you have done to make them treat you like that?
The Mummy itself terrified me. I used to love to watch this film and try to figure out how they did that makeup. Jack Pierce was a legendary makeup artist who inspired so many of us. It was just absolutely genius, the things that he came up with. It took him 8 hours to do that mummy makeup and 2 hours to take him out.
Good heavens, what a terrible curse.
He got these old linen wraps and he boiled them down so they were just literally almost falling apart. And then he laid them on with spirit gum and clay. So when the mummy actually started moving, the clay would start popping. It was just freaky. What a fantastic job. And he also glued rice paper onto Boris Karloff's eyelids, so he just looked like he had that little tiny slit. Karloff said that it was probably one of the most painful things he had ever endured.
I didn't catch your name.
Ardeth Bay.
Even just as terrifying was the character that he was afterwards, the Ardeth Bay character, when his skin was all shriveled up. Absolutely stunning.
I don't think one would forget meeting you, Ardeth Bay.
There's these really great close-ups. I mean, like this, with raking lights and beautifully lit scenes. That's really scary for a little kid.
Do not be afraid.
And these were old movies when I was watching them. I can only imagine what the people who were watching them originally in the 30s must have been thinking. That had been terrifying back then.
Never saw a mummy like that.
Neither I imagine as anyone else.
One of my favorite scenes is one of the only times you see him wrapped up in those wrappings. They show that close-up of him inside the sarcophagus still and his eyes open, and it's like, oh my God, that freaked me out so bad. That was the coolest thing ever. I am so lucky to have had such an amazing career, and I am so fortunate to have worked with so many brilliant directors, fantastic actors, and I have conversations with young women all the time now because they look up to me because I basically broke down that wall between men and women being able to do makeup. And wow, I'm living the dream.